Look at you! You nothing! You nothing! You are nothing! And you will never be anything. Never!
Colin.
Anybody know who you are? You miserable, presumptuous, no talent! You obviously don't have the talent!
And Mike, the Ape Man.
You're everything that's gone wrong in this world! You're a self-consumed, no talent, mediocre piece of shit!
PTR Radio.
And welcome, everybody, to another edition of PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb.
Always ready to do this show after that pep talk.
Yes, that it really gets us excited and motivated, you know. So, no, we're back on our every other week, and we're coming to you live from various locations due to COVID. The continuing chronicles of COVID. And in fact, a small update. Don't think. Well, I know it didn't happen on the last time, but COVID has hit close to home for us. Friend of my wife's has passed away due to it. So, for those of you who think that it can't hit close to your home or that you can't be hit by it, the truth is, yes, it can. So you know, that is that. So it has definitely hit close to home now for us. So, you know, and it was one of those quick ones too. It went. She was healthy, and then 2 weeks later she was gone. So, and now other members of the family are testing positive as well.
Oh boy.
So it is reinvigorated my wife's stay at home, a desire to stay at home and self-isolate, which is fine. That is actually a safe way to go. So, you know, and I've reinforced to my bosses, don't want to come back to the office. My bureau chief actually sent me, he happened to go into the office the other day, sent me a picture of my cubicle and said, do you miss it? And I said, absolutely not. You can rent it out if you like.
I miss my chair.
We actually, at the beginning of the pandemic, I happen to know the lady who runs the help desk, and it's a help desk for 30,000 employees, right? So you get all kinds of questions that come into it. And one of the questions was, can I take my desk home? Not just chair, but desk. Yeah.
Well,
So,
technically, I could bring my chair home because it's my chair.
yeah.
But I didn't. It's still there. I actually visited the office earlier this week because I had to get my badge updated. And, yeah, it's very weird looking, the place. The hardware people take care of our computers. They've kind of spread themselves out into the hallway because they can.
Yeah.
So they have tables set up with all the computers they're working on and stuff. And it's just like, okay. We're supposed to go back in the office a day after Labor Day, but we're all pretty sure that is actually not going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what. I had a friend of another friend of the family who was told the same thing, where she had to come in 1 day a week. Another state employee. She came, and she only has 2 years left until she can retire. So they went ahead and moved out of state. And she just figures that, you know, this is going to drag out for a while. So even if she has to work a couple days in the office, she'll just come into town, stay at a hotel, just a couple of years, no big deal. And so she came into town, was going to work a Friday and a Monday so that she could basically do 2 weeks worth of 1 day in the office, you know, on a 4-day weekend. Came in, tried to come into the office on Friday, was turned away because someone else had come into the office on Thursday with COVID. So they had to shut the office down, do deep cleaning cycles, and they said, yep, nobody's going to be allowed in the building for at least a week. So, yeah, go ahead with your plans to reopen your offices and see how well it works out for you. Because all it takes is one person.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be careful because I'm not sure exactly what I'm allowed to say. All I know is that an email came out that masks were required in company buildings for anyone regardless of vaccination status.
Yep, same came through our office, as is very popular with every company.
And so when that came out, the reason I'm talking about that part is I realized that very topic got me very, very animated last show.
Yes.
And for those that may have misinterpreted my animation or what have you, I apologize for getting as passionate about my my discussion or the discussion as I did. I listened back and I realized that could have been easily construed in any number of ways. And I tried to make it clear that it was based off of of what was going on in New Jersey specifically. Mm-hmm. And it was primarily driven out of disdain for our governor, which since last show has grown exponentially.
Well,
for other reasons.
At least you don't live in New York, where their governor had to resign. You know.
Yeah. Well, you're getting a new one, and his resignation has nothing to do with COVID.
No, it doesn't. It has to do with, and this is the odd one, he realized that the lines of behavior had been redrawn, but not to the extent at which they had been redrawn. That was basically his quote.
There is a meme. There was a line that he said, and it instantly became a meme. I'm not a pervert. I'm Italian.
Yes.
The T-shirt shops down the shore. Like, the owners woke up out of a cold sweat, or in a cold sweat, and they think, oh, get the prices going. You're going to see that our former sponsor, Bad Idea T-shirts, probably has at least 17 designs with that quote already.
I just put in, I'm not a pervert, and Google filled in the rest. So that's how prolific it is. And, yeah, so...
So I watched his... And for those who live under a rock or refuse to watch any news whatsoever, we're talking about Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York City.
Yeah.
Or New York. And he is resigning because of allegations of sexual misconduct. It may be a different charge, but basically he was a toucher. That's what the claims are.
Yeah.
And
is it just me, or did he cut out on us? Or is it just me?
No, it's not just you.
Okay, all right. So anyway, I'm going to show you one of the shirts that they came up with. So here's one. Of course, I'm sure the Italians really like their use of their flag that way. That is definitely something that they appreciate. Here is. Then of course you've got the. Here it is from Fox News. Fox News, of course, covered this, and here is the screen grab of them. And this couldn't look a little bit weirder, you know, at the moment that he said it. He definitely looked like an old Italian man.
Yeah, okay. Batteries in my wireless pack died. Yeah, so that... Now, here's the issue around that one. I was watching his speech, and just me personally, he was making it sound like he was doing everybody a favor by resigning. And how he was resigning because he loved New York, and he wanted to do what was best for New York. And I'm like, you already got your book deal.
Yep.
You allegedly have another book deal. And you get $55,000 a year pension.
Another one. Yeah.
So yeah. Now the other part is everybody's all, New York will have its first female governor. Yes, but there's an asterisk by her name.
Yes.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's going to be interesting is the next election. Her being the incumbent. See what happens there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know who would be
in
running
Illinois,
against her.
when Blagojevich got sent to jail,
So
we got a guy who was never, ever, ever going to be governor. He was one of those perpetual gadfly type guys who, just gets in the news with the stuff that he's talking about. The kind of guy that they stuck in as lieutenant governor just to get him to shut up.
Okay.
But suddenly he was governor, and then he got elected multiple times just because he was the incumbent.
yeah.
So,
Well, here's the thing.
powerful thing.
It's all gonna come down to how much she distanced herself from Cuomo.
Yes.
If she stands on her own 2 feet and makes decisions that are good for the state and does not follow in Cuomo's footsteps, then I think she will get reelected. The mayor of New York City, however, that's the more interesting race because you have a former NYPD officer versus the founder of the Guardian Angels. And for those who don't know who the Guardian Angels are, they're essentially neighborhood watch on steroids, walking around in maroon berets.
Oh, why pick the beret? I mean, it's such a, I don't know.
Because when they were founded, that was that was symbol of like special forces, green berets, tough guys, badasses. Anyway.
Yeah.
No.
The military wears lots of berets. That's true.
Yes. Well, now they all do.
So, the next gubernatorial election is in 2022, November of 2022. So she doesn't have that long to establish herself. Unless a special election is held prior to that, but I don't think it would be.
They won't.
So, but anyway, yeah. So it'll be interesting.
And our governor pissed me off this because he took a 10-day vacation to Italy, and the Friday after he left, the state announced a $250 million unemployment tax increase. Because they obviously all the unemployment benefits, so now the trust fund is depleted, and they're hitting the small businesses that they claim to support. So, yes, I hate Governor Murphy. If you haven't figured that out yet, I've had my fill of Phil.
Yeah. Yeah, and normally we do not get terribly political. So, so let's move away from politics for a second to something else, which is it has raised a lot of ire on the interwebs. Jeopardy has announced the new host of Jeopardy in the form of Mike Richards and Mayim Bialik. Now this was highly controversial and garnered a lot of pushback out there.
Yeah.
Now, there were many people who thought Mike Richards did make a good host, even though he was not originally kind of in the running. He took over 1 week, I believe, when there was a COVID-19 related cancellation, if I remember correctly.
Well, it was just Ken had other things going on that week.
Okay. So it was a cancellation, just not COVID-19 related. And he had, obviously he had been around Jeopardy for a long time, so it kind of makes sense for him. And America did love him as, in that role. A lot of people did kind of jump onto him. But Mayim Bialik, there was I didn't hear a whole ton of people clamoring for her. Now, Reading Rainbow's LeVar Burton, there was a whole social media campaign to get him to even be a possibility on the show. And boy, people were pissed that he didn't win after.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He wasn't very good. I mean, I was looking forward to Jordy Lurch doing Jeopardy. I was really looking forward to it. And then when he was on, he wasn't that good.
I mean, there are people who are really good hosts of those types of shows, and then there are people who aren't. What I did find somewhat interesting were some of the Twitter replies to the announcement, particularly Pat Sajak posted a reply to the announcement. Said, I want to welcome Mike Richards to Jeopardy! He thinks I'm a really good host, so obviously a man of taste and good judgment. A reminder to Mike that the Game Show Host Association meets on Wednesdays at the Oxnard IHOP. Now, I didn't expect that level of funny from Pat Sajak, to be completely honest.
Well,
it's not him. It's his media team.
It's his publicist team, I'm sure. Yeah. But that is a good thing to put out there.
Right, but they do know each other. I mean, was that Price is Right? Whatever game show it was that he got in trouble with the first time, I think it was Price is Right. But yeah, they all know each other. They're all from the same companies. And so what I've read is that their first choice actually was Mayim. But because she's busy with her other shows, she didn't have time to be the full-time host of Jeopardy. So Mike Richards is there. So they've given her these primetime slots just so they can keep her attached. Now, if her other shows fall apart and Mike Richards isn't picking up with the audience, then this just becomes a Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno situation.
Mm.
So the truth did come out that they wanted Mayim full time, and it's because the show, like Colin said, Call Me Cat, and her podcast.
Yeah.
Now the part that y'all don't know is I was fielding calls to be the host.
Oh.
And I told him I wasn't available, but Mr. Shathid was. And they said absolutely not. Well, we can't afford him.
I'm glad you decided not to leave the show, Mike. Your loyalty to the show is very admirable.
It's time consuming. A podcast is very time consuming.
I know.
I didn't even know she had a podcast. But listen, I have a friend who watches Jeopardy every night and was all about who the hosts were and who they weren't. And she has posted up for years about it. And when she said that, when she heard that Mayim was the top of the rumor mill, she was like, I will never watch Jeopardy again. That's how much she disliked Mayim as a host.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's opinions, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I get it. Like, I'm not... And... Yes, you're right. Generally speaking, LeVar Burton did not live up to the hype. Everybody wanted him to be awesome, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say is I'm glad it's not Wayne Brady. That's about the only thing I can say that I'm glad about.
I love Wayne Brady, but he would have been
so
a terrible
I am just glad that it is not
The Rock.
No, well, The Rock. God, we'd never get him off of social media if that was it.
I heard
Dr.
something
Oz.
this past weekend.
No, I'm glad it's not Steve Harvey because he has enough damn jobs. I don't know where he has time to sleep. Really.
Steve Harvey would not be able to get all those clues read.
No, but it would make Jeopardy a lot funnier.
I mean, like the first question would come through, and Steve Harvey would read it, and then he'd start laughing, and then suddenly it'd be like, "Oh, that's the end of the first round. We got through one question, and nobody answered it." So
he would turn it into SNL's Black Jeopardy.
Steve needs to stay in his lane and just stick with Family Feud and be good. No, but talking about The Rock, I heard something this weekend that really made me upset. Like Shaggy, you followed him on Instagram for a little while, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you still do.
I know what made you upset, Mike. I know 100% what made you upset. It's that we have only had one signature on our petition to have The Rock give money to ScarJo.
Well,
one person thought that was what should happen. One.
I'm surprised it's one.
And yes, Maya played the young Bette Midler in Beaches, and that. Listen, I'm not taking anything away. I think she's a great actress. I do. I like her, but I don't think she wouldn't have been my first pick. No, here's what pissed me off about The Rock. So, do you still follow him on Instagram?
Yes.
And you know how often he posts?
About every 30 seconds.
Anytime there is a brand name product in one of his Instagram posts, he got paid $1.5 million to include that product.
Well, I knew we couldn't afford him. But, I didn't know it was that much.
If I got paid $1.5 million to post up and include a product in my Instagram post, dude, I would live on Instagram. I would live stream my life. It would be the Ape-Man show.
He does live on Instagram. So.
No, I mean 24/7 live feed, Truman Show, all over for real. Except I'm walking around with the thing, so it holds my phone hands free. Like as seen on TV with the little wires thing. This way, I could constantly be like, yes, of course, I'm drinking Miller Lite.
Okay,
refreshing.
So I've got the list here of the top 20 celebrities making money on Instagram.
Oh, God.
So number 20 is Demi Lovato. She gets $668,000.
They get the pronouns right.
They get 668. Then we have cricket player Virat Kohli with 140 million followers, 680,000. Kevin Hart is number 18. He gets 706,000.
What list are you looking at? I'm looking at one from. Did you say 2020 or 2021?
This was from August 2021.
Okay, because I'm looking at a different one from Influencer Marketing Hub. And it's got Kevin Hart it's got Miley Cyrus at 21, Kevin Hart at 19. But anyway, go ahead.
How much do they say Kevin gets?
They say Kevin gets between 229,000 and 382,000.
And how many followers?
I don't think it says.
Okay, this says he has 118 million followers, 706,000. 17, Kourtney Kardashian, she gets 785.
Yep.
This is a parody on Just Jared, by the way. You're asking where I am.
Okay.
So yeah, soccer star Neymar gets 824. Miley Cyrus at 15 is 838,300. Nicki Minaj, 874,000. Khloe Kardashian, 949,000. Jennifer Lopez, 988,000. Taylor Swift, 1,012,000.
Okay, how many followers does J-Lo have? Does it say?
168 million.
168 million. Okay. And she gets just under $1 million per post. So
yes.
$1 million divided by 168 million followers, 0.006 cents
Per person. Huh?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, 0.6 cents. 0.6 cents. So at that rate, I'll charge you a penny per follower, and it will only cost you $1.08 for me to put up an Instagram post with your product. You can reach out to me at Mike the Ape Man on Instagram.
There you go.
You have the width and breadth of J-Lo?
I said proportionately. So J-Lo would cost you $1 million because of the number of followers. It would only cost you $1.08 because of the number of followers.
Well, yeah,
I'll tell you what, we'll round it down.
$1. Okay.
So
fine. $1 per post.
Yeah.
There you
All
go.
right. Fine.
So Kendall Jenner, 1,053,000. Justin Bieber, 1,112,000. Beyonce is only number 8, but she gets 1,147,000. Lionel Messi, another soccer star, 1,169,000. Kim Kardashian, 1,419,000. Selena Gomez, 1,468,000. Kylie Jenner, 1,494,000. They should just rename Instagram Jenner, you know. Ariana Grande, 1,510,000. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is now number 2 on this list, 1,523,000. Mm-hmm. And number 1, can you guess the last name? Oh,
Kardashian.
Well, mine says
this one says it's
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, that's right.
1,604,000.
Yes, he is a dream celebrity for brand endorsements.
So, and you know what? I just decided I'm upping my fee to $20 just for production cost. So $20 a post to advertise your product. Who wants in? To reach out to me, slip into my DMs on Instagram at Mike the Ape Man.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Lots of people slipping into your DMs, I'm sure.
So help me God. Listen, I would go over the top if somebody reached out to me and offered me $20 just to do an Instagram post about their product.
For one
and by
product.
the way, you got to give me the product.
Yeah.
All right. Don't go thinking, I'll give you $20 for you to Instagram my $300 UV printer that you got to buy. No. That's not how it works there, bot.
So,
wait, what? Ariana Grande is the new judge on The Voice. Who is she replacing?
I don't know.
It's not Kelly, because Kelly is permanently bolted into that seat now. I think it's where Gwen was. So she's replacing Gwen.
Well, speaking of products, Mike, I came across a website. I think we may have even talked about it before, but I'm not sure. Because, Christmas is around the corner, and sometimes people are hard to buy for. And so you need unique gift ideas.
Yes, we did talk about this, but they had some lower cost items on there, one of which I shared to my personal Facebook page, and of course, with my luck, this would be the one that they would send me a product and $20 and say, here you go, Instagram this. Be like, yeah, crap, literally.
So if you're looking for that gift for that person that's hard to find, you can go to thisiswhyimbroke.com and find a little bit of everything. From the worst case scenario survival handbook to a $1 million cube money table, to ultra rare meteorite and creeping baby doll head candles.
So I went ahead and just went to the gifts under $20. And I have some that I want for Christmas already.
Mm-hmm.
Number one on my list is the cheese printer.
The cheese printer, where you can you can take pictures from your phone and print them on cheese.
I absolutely have a need for that. I don't know what that need is, but I have a need for this.
You have a need for printed cheese.
That's right. Absolutely need that.
Here's one for some people on your list: the beautiful poetry of Donald Trump. I might actually get that from my brother-in-law. He would appreciate that.
Okay, here's another. Here's one. I can't believe shitty movie prop replicas. It is a rubber glove, like a dishwashing glove, that has 6 cheap-looking gemstones.
They're the
glued to
candy.
it.
They're the candy from Ring Pops. It looks like.
I think that's exactly what it is. And I can't believe this is on Etsy. Oh, my God. Yeah, I will...
Yeah.
I'm going to post this up on the Facebook page because...
Infinity
somebody out there is going to be... Somebody out there has some discretionary income that they're going to...
This is what we're talking about.
Yes.
It is. It's the Infinity Gauntlet. You know you want it. You got to have it. And you have $10 to spare. Oh.
Now, the irony here is that the preview is a pair of earrings. I don't know why, so this could just be, you know what, I'm just going to publish it anyway. Could be my internet. As I said, my internet is being janky here. Whatever.
Oh.
Yes, and it's a 1-to-1 replica, by the way.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know that. But the one that I would wind up getting sponsored by is the poop knife. Now, this was the subject of a viral post on Facebook a while back where a video of a child from the bathroom was caught yelling out to his father, "Dad, I need the poop knife."
Mm-hmm.
Which apparently is a knife that is dedicated, or something knife-like, dedicated to chopping up those extra long poops.
Lunkers. Yep. The idea is that you need the plunger less.
Yes.
Now
some of these may actually wind up.
I was listening to a radio show which had a long discussion about poop knife, and several people called in and said their families had a designated poop knife. So I do not know if 100% it is urban myth or not.
I don't know. Some of this stuff,
Vintage.
honestly, some of this stuff, people around me are getting some of this stuff for Christmas. I'm telling you right now.
Yep.
All right. For that friend that is always watching this disgusting show on television where the woman removes chicken cutlets from underneath people's skin, there's a pimple popping toy.
Yes.
The middle finger F-topus.
Yeah.
I know people who need that.
Starburst single flavor 1 pound bag. It's just a bag of one flavor of Starburst.
There,
Oh, I saw that earlier. I think it was Skittles, for whatever reason, is coming out with a bag of just lime Skittles.
A bottle of headlight fluid.
well, that it's only a matter of time, as long as it's synthetic to go along with my synthetic blinker fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is absolutely. Oh my God. I don't know if I cannot bring myself to say this on air, so I'm gonna paste it here, Shag, and you can decide whether or not you want to. But I know some people who are going to need this one.
Is it the book How to Take Better D Pics? Go to the bottom. Oh yeah, it's the Ceosaurus. Yep, that one. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the one that's only visible next Tuesday.
Yeah. So yeah, that is something.
How much acid do you have to drop to come up with some of this stuff? That's what I need to know. A mood ring toilet seat. I don't need a toilet seat telling me how long I've been sitting on that toilet. I know I've been sitting on that toilet a long time. I have a routine.
No, but I do like the Mortal Kombat face masks. Those look. Those look.
Where is that? I'm only looking at under 20.
They're $9.99.
All right, I didn't get there yet. Among Us inflatable costume pattern. Yeah, see, this is where they get you. $5 for a pattern. You know, the instructions to make an Among Us inflatable costume that ain't going to look nothing like what they did.
It's just above the needle point. Please
that's
refrain from doing coke in the bathroom sign.
Now, yours and mine are in different orders because this is above the personalized wax seal, which I would also get. Why? Because I'm freaking awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I could spend all freaking night looking at some of this stuff, man. This is why I'm broke. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a great one, but we may have trouble getting some of these products because yet again we have port closures. First, there was a boat stuck in a canal. Before that, we had Japanese and Chinese ports shut down. Now we're repeating the cycle. And the third busiest port has been reclosed in China after a worker contracted COVID-19, fueling fears of even more supply chain restrictions. So yet again, we are going to face more slowdowns in shipping. So for anybody that wants a graphics card, you're going to wait even longer or pay even more, which would be me. I was supposed to have a new machine in time for this show, but is not to happen because the processor I ordered like 5 weeks ago still hasn't arrived yet. So.
Yeah. I've been waiting 4 months now for my new pellet grill.
It's just insane. The supply shortages that occur. And what we have to, pretty soon we're just going to be going back to 286s and 386s. Those will be the latest things. That'll be what we're all waiting on. So, Colin,
I'm trying to look because there was a. Let me see something here. Nope, that's not it. There was a map that I saw that showed like all of the ships waiting to get into the ports, right?
Oh, yeah.
And showing how much of a backlog there is.
Yep.
And yeah, so this is not what I was expecting, but I was trying to find. Here's a good one. So this is like the East Coast. Let me see if I can screen grab this real quick. Because the other issue with the whole shipping thing is that they can't unload this stuff fast enough.
Yeah.
Because of issues with the port workers.
Yeah, because
it might take 700 years because it's processing. Should be there. Face mask for 3D printing, of course. Yeah. Okay, I know why. But like every one of these are tankers and cargo ships. You see all these. I mean, there's also just yachts, but there's a lot of freaking ships just waiting to get in the port. Forget it. You look at like the Gulf. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's.
That's where it was. That's what I was seeing last time. It was by the canals, just waiting to get through the canals.
Oh yeah, they were waiting for that ship to be dug out by the one guy with a bobcat, because nobody else would do what was needed. Yeah, so just looking at this, you can see the issue, But yeah,
here, this is like waiting to go through the Suez. I'm going to send you right now.
Now, was that when the ship was stuck?
No, this is
now?
as of today. I went to the site and I just screen grabbed them myself.
Yeah. So here we go. So this is it.
So anything yellow is a cargo ship. Anything orange is a tanker.
Now, what's interesting is there was another plan. I'll have to look it up here. I just heard about it. Second Suez Canal. There was going to be another canal that the U.S. government was going to do. And where was it? U.S. government, Suez Canal.
Is it part of the infrastructure plan?
Here we go. You're gonna love this because this was declassified back in the 1960s. Okay, the U.S. government found that yes, there was an issue with just having the Suez Canal, and so they thought, all right, let's build an alternate that goes through Israel and Jerusalem. All right? But obviously that is a long way. So here, let me show you. The plan looked like this. All right? So here's the Suez Canal. Here's the one that they wanted to do. It's a little bit longer, about twice the length. All right?
Uh-huh.
So how do you think they were going to dig it? Now remember, this is the 60s. Yes. How many nukes do you think they were planning on using?
100.
520. The plan was to detonate 520 nuclear bombs in a row to dig, to create dots that then they would connect by digging for this second Suez Canal.
This I should have gotten something stronger to drink.
This was a government plan that really was thought about and thought about and thought about.
Government plans aren't always the smartest. We used to have a saying that I learned very quickly when, in my short time in the service that there's never time to do it right. There's always time to do it again.
Yep.
And it sounds to me like nuking
the Middle East,
which ironically some people might be in favor of these days. If you told them it would create a secondary shipping canal, people would be like, well, shit, put that up for a referendum vote. Let's vote on this.
through our allies. Yep.
Can we put this on the ballot in November? Because I think we want this now. We can turn it to glass and then just go over there with a hammer and break it to make a shipping lane. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Compared to the 60s, we got precision bombs now.
But back then, everything was nuke everything. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the solution to everything. Nuke.
All we need is a refrigerator to climb into, and we'll be safe.
That's right.
Worked for Harrison Ford. It should work for us.
Put on some goggles and hide in a bunker, and you'll be fine.
Just get yourself some Twinkies.
Ask Oppenheimer.
You know, everybody's cool with it. But yeah, it's funny that we talk about it because I just had been hearing about this. So yeah, we have some crazy ideas.
We really do.
Last
show, did I? And I'm bringing this up because I was told if I don't, I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Last show, did I happen to mention about our house guest?
House guest.
The one-eyed cat?
We have the one-eyed cat, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I did.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I mention that the one-eyed cat is still here?
No.
No.
And did I mention that the one-eyed cat is...
I'm not sure we mentioned it on the show. I just remember seeing it on Facebook.
Okay. So, yes, just a recap, just in case, because, I drink, so I don't remember shit. Last year, my wife trapped a kitten that we thought just had a bad eye, like goopy. It turns out when she took it to the vet, and the vet said, no, she doesn't have a bad eye, per se. The eye is just not fully formed, therefore she technically has no eye.
She has an eyelet.
She has a socket, but no eyeball. There's a little white thing in there, and it's not causing her any pain or whatever. But anyway, and the whole intent was to have a rescue take this cat. Well, it's been a couple of weeks.
Is it the rescue of Butterstown?
I'm not.
You did not tell them that you socialized the cat yourself.
I didn't get to that part yet.
I'm listening.
I didn't get there yet.
I love that it's bad enough that she comes down because she is never on the show. But it's bad enough she's going to walk herself down those stairs and open that door and tell on you.
Get to that part yet. The cat's been in the back room. And yeah, I've been socializing the cat, and I was the first one to pet the cat with a glove, and now I pet the cat, and the cat is falling in love with one of our dogs. And
what's wrong with socializing the cat? Isn't that one of the things like a foster is supposed to do?
Yes,
it's a good thing. You don't want a feral cat that's always
Well, here's the thing: with one eye, this cat is not going back out,
right,
into the wild. And the fact that the cat's friendly, that's icing on the cake.
I mean, not unless Johnny Depp needs a stunt double and you can get it to wear an eye patch.
So I'm up there before the show, and I said to her, just tell me now, all right? Am I being delusional? Just tell me now. What's going on here? Is the cat leaving or not? What?
Mm-hmm.
One-eyed cat.
Mm-hmm.
She want to call One-Eye Wilhelmina. I said, no.
Todd Peepers.
Wilma, short for Wilhelmina.
How about Peepers?
Fine. I keep calling her Munchie, as in Munchkin.
Mm-hmm. One-Eyed Willie.
I'm slowly starting to realize. Yes,
from the Goonies.
Yes, but she's female.
So?
That's why. One-Eyed Winnie. One-Eyed Winnie. One-Eyed Winnie. But I'm slowly starting to realize that I am not master of my domain. I just freaking live here.
I hate to tell you this.
Take up space.
You never were. You are just another pet that your wife adopted. You need to realize this.
This is the one.
You had less adoption fees than she did.
So
than the other ones.
She's trying to call me the cat daddy socializer. No, I said on Facebook that better not stick as a name because that's not happening. No, absolutely not. And no, we're not going to call
Peepers.
No, we are not calling an animal Peepers.
Yes.
No. There's something wrong with that. And if you're listening, the next time you can bring me some Terramana, please, because this beer is not enough to get through this.
But no, honestly, Mike, you are just a stray that she picked up on the side of the road and decided that you were comfy in bed and kept her warm at night. And you already had all your shots. So
that's about the only thing you're accurate on, because I mean, really, don't. If the cat's staying, just tell me the cat's staying, and then we can figure shit out. But don't let me think that the cat's going to go to a rescue, despite the fact we'll probably both cry when the cat goes away. But,
yeah. So I mean, you can't do that, Mike. Remember, folks, have your 8 men spayed or neutered. Control the 8-man population.
Don't neuter your 8-man. Stop that. No.
There was an old YouTube series that I missed the first time through. I guess they just restarted it. It was called Honest Advertising. I guess it was Cracked that was doing it.
Mm.
Okay.
And yeah, one of them they do is pets. And I was like, they what they call something about sentient. Anyway, they're basically making fun of the fact that pet animals are basically slaves. But at the end of it, they did the get your
pet spayed. Yeah.
So,
and I appreciate the fact that what's his name? Drew Carey still says that at the end of every Price is Right. Just like Bob Barker. I appreciate that.
So we talked about gifts a little earlier, and for those of you that are my friends on Facebook, you know that my birthday was yesterday, and I want to thank Mike and the whole zoo crew and everybody. They sent me a little present. They know my affinity for bobbleheads, so I got a Bob Ross bobblehead that is talking.
Let's make some nice little clouds that just float around and have fun all day. Let's get crazy. What the heck? Take a 2-inch brush. This is your bravery test.
So that'll be added to my collection.
There is another one that's coming out. It should have been there, but it's delayed.
Oh,
so
okay.
You can show that one next show. There's something else coming.
Yeah, and my daughter got me Thanos in his big chair. So that one is still upstairs. I haven't unboxed it yet. And a bottle of whiskey. She knows her dad well. So, it's always good. But, it was a nice, as most holidays and birthdays are right now, it was pretty subdued. So, just a couple of folks over, nothing major. But, no, but everybody kept asking me, well, are you going to go to the fair? Because I usually go to the fair during my birthday. We do our little rounds and, stuff like that and just, hit a few places. And I'm like, nope, not this year. Not going to happen. Not going. That place is a sea of depravity normally, and I'm definitely not going right now. Bob Sloth fabric. I have not seen
Bob Sloth fabric.
Yes, that's a funny.
Is
fabric.
is that available as a mask from Nightingale Designs? I wonder.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So
I'll post a picture of it here in a second. My other screen unfroze, so I'm now able to say the joke that I was going to say that instead got stuck without it, which was, please have your mammal's genitals removed without their consent at infancy. It's the right thing to do.
Well, that's
annoying
one
when you
way
want
to
to read something, the screen decides to crash instead.
Yeah.
That's one way to.
It's one way to put it.
The overpopulation problem in the world.
Yep. So yeah, Colin, after our last show, joined the ranks of the 3D printers. So he got himself a printer, actually very similar to what my grandson got, which was one of those, we're gonna pull fluid from the bottom and print upside down things, whereas mine is print from the bottom up like a normal thing. So the question is, how good is it, Colin? Do you like it?
It's really good.
Shaggy.
Yeah.
It's filament versus resin.
Yes, filament versus resin.
Okay.
Yeah. Resin costs more, but you get much better quality out of it. That's the difference.
It costs
Also,
more. It usually takes longer to print. But you can get finer detail out of it. If
Isn't
as
it
with anything,
also,
as long as it's properly calibrated.
Isn't resin also UV stable compared to filament?
I believe it sets with UV.
It sets with UV. Yeah. So the way it works is like there's a UV lamp in the base, and then there's an LCD screen above the lamp. And then what it does is basically because it's like your monitor, right? You got a light behind the monitor that shines through unless the LCD turns on to block it. So what it does is the screen turns black to block all the light, and then it just opens up pixel by pixel to allow the light to shine through, and that reacts to the resin, which turns it solid.
But then once you take your print out, then you're supposed to put it into a UV box to fully cure, I believe. At least that's
you wash it first,
and
then you put it in the UV box. Yeah.
Yeah, to cure. And so my thought is, yes, that means it would be a little bit more resilient outside. Yeah, I guess that's what you were probably trying to get at, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because yes, my filament prints didn't do great outside especially during winter. But that can also be overcome by using different filaments. So like I used just the standard I think it's PTE, or maybe it's not PTE, maybe it's the other one. But anyway, I use the yeah. Well, I use the one where you don't have to have an enclosure, you don't have to have any exhaust fans or anything else. So it's just it's regular plastic, same thing as what your soda bottles are made out of. But you can use other filament types that do require that temperature control, the exhaust, and all that other stuff. Which actually, one of the things about the printer, like what Colin has, is you do need to be properly ventilated and everything else, ideally, to use those. So, yeah, the resin printers are a little bit more finicky sometimes. But
yep, so I have a filament printer coming as well, so I can do some more cheap things. But yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I just did one test print. I broke the model trying to get it scraped off the thing. you're supposed to clean everything in alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't buy quite enough alcohol to really give it a clean, so then I could do a better job of scraping it off the thing. So my next print, I have to get more cleaning fluid, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I actually found that using acetone works pretty good on my stuff. So I've started using acetone to clean like the bed and things. So it's worked well.
Yeah. For the resin prints, you need specific things. They recommend at least 91% isopropyl. Although there's many other things, something called like mean green or mighty green. Anyway, there's some other stuff too. But
for those of you that were curious about the Bob Sloth mask, here's a picture of it. So that's pretty cool. All right, moving on to other topics on the whitelist today. We do have quite a lot in the sheet. We always love a good list. Let's go over 16 myths that you've been told that are just not true. Now, some of these I'm going to bet we know have always been myths. Number 1. The map of the tongue with the different regions like bitter, sour, salty, sweet, that's total BS. All right? They're just, it's a representation of different taste buds. It's not necessarily that they're all in those different locations. Number 2, urine is not sterile. I don't know who really believed that it was.
It's because
of Bear
Patches
Grylls?
told us it was.
No, it's not.
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No, but it's sterile, and I like the taste.
No, it's not. Number 3.
There are elements of truth to that, other than the fact that people get, bladder infections, which means that, it can't always be sterile now, can it?
Shaving your body hair won't make it grow back thicker or darker.
Wait. Time out. Hold on. I can't let this pass. So, there's elements of truth to that, and the part he disproved was the sterile part. What was the part that was true?
If you don't have a bladder infection, then technically speaking, if you took a straight sample of urine that's still in the body, then it's relatively sterile. However, the moment it's left the body, it is no longer sterile.
Okay. So you were okay. I was afraid that you were commenting on my line from the movie, like, wait a minute, if it's not sterile, the taste? What? But okay. I'm sorry.
Shaving your body hair won't make it grow back thicker or darker, but I will add a caveat to that. It will make it angry, and it will go away if you do cut it too short. That is absolutely 100% true, and you should avoid it as long as humanly possible.
So, yeah, and the darker part, because, gray hair.
Gray's technically lighter than black than brown or black, so it comes back, brighter.
The thicker part, if you think about it, when you look up at a hair up close, the tip is a point. So if you shave it, you're getting rid of the point and leaving only the thicker part of the hair shaft. Therefore, technically,
everybody knows nobody likes a thick shaft. I mean, that's universally known. All right.
Hi, my name is Steve Stifler, and I'm 4 inches around.
So,
Think about it.
Fingernails and hair don't continue to grow after death. Anybody who's watching any medical shows knows that. No, your skin just retracts, and so therefore they appear to have grown, but they didn't really. Swallowing chewing gum doesn't stick around in your digestive system for 7 years. Your mother just wants you to think that, so that you don't eat chewing gum.
It doesn't stick around. It could still be bad.
Yeah. Cracking your knuckles won't increase your chance of developing arthritis. Now, this is a hotly contested one. You know,
I think that one won an Nobel Prize too. There was a professor or scientist of some kind who, for years, would pop the knuckles on one hand, not the other. And after like 30 years, there was no difference.
Here's a very hippy-dippy thing. Detox teas and cleanses don't really flush toxins out of your body.
That's actually another one of those honest ads that's quite hilarious.
Here's another one. Humans have more than 5 senses. So the fact that we have only 5 senses is a myth. You actually have many more than that if you think about it. Because just the sense of touch is then broken down into temperature, moisture, yada, yada, yada. So if you think about it.
Sense of balance.
Yes. So you are a superhero. Telepathy. We all have that. I mean, if you don't, you're just, wasted. Monosodium glutamate, aka MSG, isn't tied to any negative health effects. And the so-called
that was a lie and a half. No, that is absolutely a lie. MSG will kill somebody.
Nope. It
all right?
was based on an unscientific letter written to the New England Journal of Medicine back in 1968.
That's a lie and a half. MSG, let me tell you something. Chick-fil-A, which is laced, all right, the stuff they bread their chicken sandwich in is MSG, period. End of discussion. It's dyed MSG. I eat that stuff. I'm on the toilet for 17 days straight because of the amount of MSG. So, yes, it will kill you.
No, that's
just... Does it have direct negative health effects? No. The health effects are all the side effects induced by MSG, not to mention the extreme
craving.
It's like the peanuts at the bar, right? So you eat the sandwich, and it's like, why am I so thirsty? But I keep eating the sandwich. Oh, my God. MSG is evil.
You can't get warts by touching a toad or frog or any other type of amphibian. No, but they will often pee in your hand. That's almost a guarantee.
You could die if you eat them.
Yeah, or lick them. Don't do that. The idea that humans only use 10% of their brain is so wrong, it's almost laughable.
Mama Blair agrees with me, therefore it is factual. If Mama Blair says it's truthful and agrees with me, this is beyond contestation.
No, this is not A Knight's Tale. She is not the prince.
And it wasn't the prince.
Yes, it was.
Wait, was he prince? The Dark Prince?
Was.
The
Black Knight was the prince because he said, by the power
was he a prince?
Given to me by my father, King Edward, so therefore he was the prince.
You're right. Okay, you're right.
And as such is beyond contestation. Yeah. It's one of my favorite scenes. Not waiting 30 minutes or an hour after eating to go swimming doesn't mean you're going to have a cramp and drowned.
No, it means your parent, the parent at the time, didn't want to go, and came up with an excuse.
Also means they don't want Cheeto dust in the pool.
Now, see, I always thought it's because you didn't want your body to focus the circulation to your extremities while you're swimming. You wanted to focus while you're digesting. That's why they told you that. So you would fully digest the food that they paid good money for to feed your ass. Because let's face it, our parents growing up
because
were
they just ate a big thing of food and they want to sit there digesting it themselves. That's what it is.
Okay, that possible other reason.
Humans don't lose a disproportionate amount of their body heat through their head. Another myth.
Why?
Well, they say you lose, 90% of your heat through the body heat through your head. which is
That's
why
why,
you have to wear a hat in the
little
wintertime.
thing up here is beating all this.
This is
I
the
don't think so.
chimney.
Yeah.
This is the chimney. Listen, Saturday, I'm going to see if I can get somebody to take a picture of me during my hockey game, which is inside, which is rare, unusual for me. And towards the end of the game, I look like a steam pipe because all the heat coming up this way. So it kind of makes sense that the heat would, but no, is one of these things that's a myth about a wet head in the cold? You'll catch a cold?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to 16
Because
yet. Number 14.
Okay, because this would kind of
Yeah. Number 14. Every medical show on TV has been lying to you because shocking someone who is in asystole, a.k.a. flatline, will not get their heart beating again.
Correct.
Yes. That's right. If you watch enough Trauma Life in the ER, you will learn that. You should watch that.
Yeah.
Oh,
The heart has to be doing something.
Yes. Here's one. Waking a sleepwalker won't kill them. Who really thought that?
Just 60 sitcoms. Or 50 sitcoms.
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 All right,
For comic
so
effect, that's all.
So I got two questions for you. First one, when they do a heart transplant, obviously the heart is not beating when they put it in. So how do they start the heart?
Usually massage.
Well, there's massage. And there are, when you actually are connected with electrodes directly to the heart, then you can make the heart do stuff. It's just putting one paddle on the front of the body, another paddle on the side of the body, and just putting a random shock through the body is not going to make a dead heart magically start beating again. So just to recap for those who aren't following, so what's happened usually is that the heart has lost its rhythm, and it's just like
on TV. You hear beep 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 beep, and then they
how,
go clear, boom, and that's not how that works.
But it's the heart's in fibrillation, which means it's lost its rhythm and it's just basically spasming instead of doing its job.
Okay,
so the shocking just makes it reset.
Okay, all right. I'll pretend to understand.
Well,
Again,
the only reason why I know this is not only because of the TV shows I watch, but my dad actually is in AFib. He's in permanent AFib, which means his heart has an irregular beat. And they've tried to correct it by shocking him, by trying to basically reset, right? And
that was an episode of ER.
I'm sure it's a very common procedure, actually.
I remember it distinctly because it was a little person dressed as an elf during Christmas time, and he was arguing with Noah Wiley, telling him, "Just turn me up to 800 and do it already. Quit messing around.
So
I know my AFib."
So my dad, a lot of times they will put you under for that procedure because it's pretty painful to shock you, and he's a larger man, so of course they had to crank up the volume to get it to penetrate, and they didn't put him out all the way. So he said it's like a lightning bolt going right through your chest. He said they did it 3 times, and I told them, "You're never doing that again." So.
I guess I need to look into this a little more because now I'm curious about like the automatic defibrillators that they have at every rink. Like what? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they hook them up to somebody, is it too late? And what was the last one you said that you read? Because I had a comment on that one too.
The one previous to this was "Don't wake up." Don't wake up.
Oh, the sleepwalker.
Sleepwalker. Yes. Yeah.
So. My cousin, who at the age of 46 was diagnosed with early onset dementia due to head trauma. And I follow his court cases online very closely. He used to sleepwalk.
Mm-hmm.
And we were told, don't wake him up. Not because it could kill him, but because he'd be so disoriented about where he was that he could get violent and kill you.
Yeah, I can believe that. I used to sleepwalk when I was 10, well actually right up until I was about 12. I did, I think. And it was not fun to wake up where you weren't supposed to be. And my youngest stepson did, to the point where we had to put stuff in front of the door, and for me, even recently, I was, because of my sleep apnea, I was having problems with, basically it was sleep disorder. It was I forget what the heck they called it, but it was bordering on a sleep disorder where I acted out my dreams. Actually, that was what was happening, is I was acting out what was happening in my dreams, which meant I was punching, kicking. At several points, I actually jumped myself out of bed onto the floor, which hurts, by the way. Don't do that. It really hurts. But for me, what fixed it was getting the CPAP machine and getting into a deeper level of sleep so that I'm actually fully out rather than partially awake. And that's made a world of difference. But, sleep disorders are definitely real, and they could be a big pain in the butt, So the last one on this list is rusty nails give you tinnitus. Or tetanus. Tetanus. Sorry. Tinnitus. No, they don't give you, tennis elbow. It gives you
it's your man,
tetanus.
Steve Harvey.
So, tetanus. No, they don't give you tetanus.
So what the hell do you get a tetanus shot for when you get stuck with something rusty or cut yourself?
The relationship between rust and Clostridium tetana, the bacteria which causes tetanus, is purely not causative. I'm not getting into an addicted thing. Not going to do it. Correlative. That is, we associate the two because the bacteria is often found in the soil that's rich in organic material like manure or dead leaves, which indicates conditions which could also lead to abandoned metal objects rusting. So
I only have to get a tetanus shot if I cut myself with the poop knife.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no.
Okay.
So, yep.
Okay, and so I will say, just because I've been hearing the laughter in the background, so tinnitus is ringing in the ears.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Don't get me on medical terms. I'm not very good. I'm good on the ones that I've had and nothing else. All right. You want to talk migraines, maybe a few fractures, that kind of stuff. I'm okay on those. But luckily, I've been pretty healthy. So I'm, But yeah.
I'd like to think I'm pretty healthy, but I know damn well that hopefully by the time I need them, they figure out a way to very quickly 3D print replacement knees and hips for me, because it's only a matter of time. I know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a hockey playing fool.
So here's the one thing I know about that, Mike. If you do need to get a hip replacement or knee replacement, for that
he can print it cheap for you.
No, but the younger you are, the better off you are. So don't put that off to say, "Oh, I'll do that when I'm really old." No, just if you're going to need it, go ahead and get it done.
Except,
I agree.
Except they do wear out, even though they're titanium.
Yes.
Usually, they do wear out. Because they told my dad, expect to get about 15 years out of his knees when he got them replaced. And so he is
I'm actually
coming up here within the next 5 or so years. He'll be coming up on needing to get them replaced. And that is not a fun surgery either, because they end up having to cut new holes to pound the rods into.
Yeah, I'm actually looking more into it's called PRP injections, platelet-rich plasma injections for my knees. My hips, I don't think are actually. I think that's just. I joke about that. I don't think I actually. There's no medical reason for me to suggest that I'm going to need replacement hips. I just.
Yeah.
It's a side effect of just sore legs and tight muscles. I know that.
You can't hula hoop
but
like
my
you
knees,
used to.
my knees. I think another year or two, I'm probably going to start looking into this PRP therapy, which people have had tremendous results with my conditions.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and when that doesn't work, just do a cleanse. It'll solve everything.
Yeah. You know, I'm a tea on Amazon that I can drink. You know, it's the bark of a whispering willow tree
grown
that you have to steep for 76 hours.
Yeah.
And then put in a smoker.
Yeah.
To fully cure it before you drink it.
And then you just are on the toilet for 48 hours.
You just have to make sure that you do it in a wormwood cup.
Yeah. Yep. While saying an incantation. So, and focusing on your third chakra. So.
Third chakra. Don't even get me started on Reiki, man. I just...
All right. Speaking about the medical division, nurses, essential people right now. I think we can all agree, right? Nurses and doctors, we need them more than ever. We're one ICU nurse less, according to the Daily Beast. Marlo Stern, the author of this article, written last Friday, talks about Allie Ray. She was a let's see here. She was in the services for a while. Then she went into nursing. Didn't really care too much for surgery in the ER. Then went into NICU. And that's she really found her calling there. But 18-hour days. Kind of rough, right? Repeated 18-hour days. And, it wears on you. So was looking for an outlet, something to do to re-energize her. And so she started to post on Instagram. On Insta, she did little sexy poses, in her bikini or in her lingerie or whatever. Well, busybody nurses at her hospital reported her to her manager that she was taking racy photos. Now, she, of course, because she wasn't posting anything super racy or too risque, was let off with a warning and told that it was against the policy of the hospital. But a few months later, those same nosy nurses found Ray's OnlyFans. Again, Ray got reported back to management, who said ditch the OnlyFans or say sayonara. Now, get this. Ray didn't need the nursing gig. I don't know if you can imagine this, but she was making a lot more on OnlyFans than she was nursing.
I'm not surprised. People had stimulus money to spend.
She was raking $80,000 a month in through OnlyFans. $80,000 a month. But she was still going to work as a nurse for 18-hour shifts.
She was making $80,000 a month on OnlyFans and wasn't even getting naked.
Well, that she was starting to. At that point, she was doing like solo stuff. But she was still going to her day job because she liked it, because she felt a calling to be a nurse. God forbid she do something outside the church, outside the hospital, that made her feel good.
Understandable if it was the church.
So, so of course they fired her for it. then she decided
Yeah,
to.
because somebody actually subscribed.
Somebody
and signed up
subscribed.
so that they could screen cap and give it to the manager.
Yeah. So they fired her for it.
That,
And Ray said, you know what? I don't need this aggravation. You know, I came here because I really liked the job. And she still says she regrets not being a nurse. But she can't turn down the money that she's making. She goes, it was ridiculous. I was making twice my annual salary per month. So they have sent her and she was making this with her husband. Her husband has always been a supporter of her Instagram account, her OnlyFans account, whatever. And he was fully involved. You know, and
for $80,000 a month, yeah, he was.
I would be too for $80,000 a month. You know, she posts like once a day, once every other day. She said now suddenly she couldn't turn down the opportunity to make her kids breakfast in the morning, be there when they got home from school, you know, eat dinner with them every night, as opposed to working 18 hours at a job that didn't give her, you know, any recognition and, you know, just put her down because of what she wanted to do on her own time. Now, I'm not saying it shows a stigma that we have around the sex industry, and I'm not saying that, you know, it's always the right thing to do. But in this case, this woman was still going to a job that she didn't need, you know, because she wanted to. And, you know, so yeah, it's a interesting story here that they ended up moving away because of you know, the pressure and the attention that got to her. Now they are out in California somewhere deciding where they want to live because they have this total surplus of money. They have the freedom to live wherever they want and to do whatever they want because, you know, now she is making even more than she was so before. So, you know, as the article points out, during the pandemic, there were plenty of men with no sexual outlets, and so they flocked to OnlyFans. And, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, it happened. And, yeah, the industry boomed.
And you know what? She probably could have been making more money if it wasn't for stupid, bad baby Danielle Brijoli. And
yeah. You know, so I see articles like this, and you know, yeah, and she points out, she goes, you know, it's totally, this woman actually points out, she goes, you know, it's actually ridiculous how little I got paid as a nurse and how much I get paid doing this.
Look, many people have said athletes get paid millions of dollars a year to play. Teachers, nurses, they get paid. They're underpaid.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish there was a way to even this out, but I'm not a fan of socialism, so
no.
I don't know what the answer is.
Nope, we don't. So, anyway, it is 7:30. It is time to go ahead and do our movie reviews. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the show,
God.
Every show we take on 2 movies from a list that we have compiled from recommendations from Netflix and Amazon and the like of the streaming services. And this week we have a couple of good ones. We have one new to streaming platforms, and we have one which has been around for a while and raises a few questions. So, you know, we have one from Netflix and one from Amazon Prime. Our Amazon Prime is The Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt, and our other choice is a movie called Swiped, which stars the female lead from Third Rock from the Sun. Well, it doesn't really star her. She's an actress
She's
in it.
in it.
Yeah.
She's in it. That's the best you can say.
Otherwise, you don't know anybody else in the show. So, anyway, we will go around.
I'm going to make a liar out of you, but okay.
What? No, she's in.
I'm going to make a liar out of you about that one. Go ahead.
Okay. So, anyway, So we will go through. We'll do our review. We'll rate these movies from puke to shnikes. Shnikes being the best, and we'll let you know which one is worth watching and which one is worth skipping over. Should you be recommended these by your streaming platform? So with that said, we will start off tonight with Colin, and we will start off with Swiped. So, Colin, What'd you think of Swiped?
Swiped is a movie about writing software and going to college by people who obviously know nothing about writing software and have never been to college because they obviously don't know anything about either of those things, and so I'm not exactly sure where they came from. So the movie starts with this geeky coder type arriving at his dorm for the first time. He arrives at his dorm with one piece of luggage. That basically, I mean, I don't know how long it's been since maybe anybody out there has been to college, but getting to college usually is like a van full of stuff that you unload into a room that's too small. Not one suitcase. That's not enough anything for, college. I mean, you need desks and humidifiers and fans and so much stuff. So apparently this school is also in a mall, as best I could figure out, because it does not look like any university I've ever heard of. It looks like a mall. Even has a anyway. So they're trying to do the social, Facebook or whatever. They're writing an application for hookups where men can find women and not even know each other's names, just have sex and go away. That's the idea. There's no part of this movie that is in any way good. It is a truly, truly terrible movie. I looked hard. I cannot find any meaning in this movie. I cannot find any reason for it to exist. You do not come out of this movie with an idea of, did you learn anything? No. Do you even know why they made this movie? No. It is anyway, it is complete garbage, and I am going to give it puke.
Puke from Colin. All right. I'll go next. So as Colin mentioned, so this is a movie about a college that doesn't exist. It's about a time in college that, God, I hope doesn't exist. All right, a time when you can all right. I haven't been in college in 25 years, but I can't imagine that it is like this today. It definitely wasn't like it when I was there. You still had to work to get a girl. But I hate to be that old guy that says it's not like it was in my day. I know there are things like apps, like all the stuff that the kids have today, because they really do have it a lot easier. I keep telling people that. We actually had to meet people and talk and try and we didn't have Tinder or even Facebook. It wasn't there. So anyway, all we had was Tom on MySpace, and that's it. And Tom wasn't anywhere close. But we just didn't have that stuff. So in this movie, you're in this fictional world where the men have all the control in the dating realm, where the women just put it out there. It's not even like the cow giving the milk away. It's like the cow squirting their udders at anybody who passes by. That's what it's like. All right. And I don't know how in the heck that world exists, because I can't imagine, as a father of a daughter, I can't imagine women being like that ever. At least I know she wouldn't. I hope she wouldn't. But I just don't see that happening. And yeah, this is the story of a dork who gets basically kind of conned into building an app to help these guys get it even easier than what they have it today, which seems really stupid. The guys want a way to hook up with basically user terms that people will abide by. Now, we know user terms and terms of service don't even apply today, so how in the hell would they apply to this app that's completely fictional? But anyway, so yeah, and what kills me is there's the big plot device of who really develops this app and that it gets, thrown out there, but there's no real repercussions. You expect in a movie like this that when that bomb gets dropped, there's going to be huge repercussions, and that there's going to have to be an arc in the story of redemption and all this other stuff, but that doesn't happen. And I would be ruining something for you, but you shouldn't watch this movie. So that typical arc that I was expecting to happen didn't. It's kind of like in Revenge of the Nerds, when after, Lewis sleeps with the cheerleader, and she realizes who he really is, because he doesn't have the mask on anymore, she doesn't scream rape, all right? Instead, she says, how were nerds so good at sex? It doesn't freaking happen, all right? That's not the world that was even in then, all right? That's not the way that it works. So if you could have that leap of faith and logic that anything like that could possibly happen, then maybe this movie's for you, but I seriously doubt it. So this movie is not good. Unfortunately, it's not horrible. But it wraps up way too quickly. Like, they take 3/4 of the movie to ramp up, and then they just wrap it up in a neat, tidy bow in like 10 minutes. So that's where it really fails. So I'm going to give this movie a VERP for my rating. All right, Mike.
Lord Jesus, please protect me while I give this review. Thank you. All right. So this movie is about two guys that create an app. Well, one guy that creates an app and one guy that has an idea for an app. So the irony here is that the opening credits look like they were made on an app. Here's a hint, folks. If you're going to rent a car for a movie, either remove or hide the no smoking stickers that are on the dashboard. Yeah, I know I'm nitpicking here, but for the love of God, this is where we're at. Okay, this is what we've come to with these reviews. Here's an interesting tidbit. I knew that the kid's sister looked familiar. That's Kehlani. Kehlani got her start on Dance Moms. Yes, I used to watch Dance Moms. Get off me. All right, so the big, dumb, blonde sidekick friend dude, he is the dollar store Jake Paul. Let me just throw that out there. Okay, let's get this out of the way. He gets the dubious honor of getting the dollar store label for this one, along with the other one who the self-help video guy is the dollar store Zuckerberg. They're starting to show actual coding, and this is where I just sat back to watch the movie because I figured the actual guys on the show that were involved with coding would give their stance on this movie. And now they're showing actual boobies. So this is the part where I sat back and watched this movie and waited for the boob connoisseur to give his stance on this movie. Let me stop for 1 second. I don't understand how exactly they're getting all the girls to suddenly sign up, and is no one calling out the racist name of this app, Jungle? Really? How is this movie not getting banned, canceled, culture thing? I want to know, how did this one kid take down every app just to keep his mom from getting laid? There's so many issues here. We don't have time. and this is how it ends. There's, like you said, there's no consequences for anyone here. But this was not nearly as pervy as I thought it was going to be. I was actually a little surprised. This movie came out in 2018, and y'all are talking about how, you know, it's an app for you know, basically just hookups, you know, sex partner. Yeah, that's pretty much what Tinder is, and Tinder came out in 2012. So the app isn't even all that original for terms of service. Okay, no names. Yeah, because people are using their real names on Tinder. But the movie wasn't as pervy as I thought it was going to be. This actually kind of, the way it ended, it kind of reminded me of an after-school special, like a PG-13 after-school special. So I gave this a smirk.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it,
No.
but I gave it a smirk.
So to illustrate over what you were saying there, Mike, there was no programming. I mean, there was so far away from actual programming, just like it was so far away from actual college.
Yeah,
That
fair
it
enough.
just
One Linux
it was
command
like,
does not a program make.
It's like someone was trying to do a serious hockey movie, but everybody is not. I mean, it's like they're wearing figure skating skates, and
Okay, so this
puck
is
made
kind of
out
like how.
styrofoam.
So this is kind of like the argument or the debate we had when we reviewed Goon, and I was adamant that this is not a hockey movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. This is not a college. Swiped is not a college movie at all.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Second movie in our lineup was The Tomorrow War. Big budget film for Amazon, exclusively for Amazon Prime. All right. Starring Chris Pratt. One of the Chris's. One of the famous Chris's. All right. So let's start off same way we did before. Let's do Colin. Colin, tell us about your thoughts on The Tomorrow War.
Okay, here's the thing about Tomorrow War. So, relatively standard science fiction trope, but it's a pretty good one where people from the future are being killed, and so they go back in time to try and bring people from the past to try and combat the aliens that are attacking the Earth. It starts off with a bit. I say the first section of this movie has some similarities with Aliens, you know, the second of the Alien series, where you're just kind of get it set up with a little bit of horror-y feel to it. And as it goes on, like Aliens, it becomes more of an action movie. It gets away from that as time goes on. It becomes a more thinking movie, and by the end, you get a little more action, a little more think. It's a well-rounded, intelligent movie. Now, I don't want to spoil much about the plot of this movie because you should definitely see this movie, and I think this movie is better not being spoiled. That being said, I would say it's not a very good motion picture. Okay, if this was in a theater, then I would have to knock it a lot down as being. It'd be a bad movie in a movie theater. Okay, it's too long. It has a feel more of a made-for-TV miniseries. Okay. And if you look at it as being more of a miniseries and being a little more spread out, then it's great. Okay, I mean this movie is getting it's not getting Schneikes, but it is definitely very close to the top of the scale. I'm just going to give it the big huge grin on it. But if you're looking at this for fine cinema, it's too flabby. Okay, there's too much going on. It would need to be a lot shorter and a lot more concise. But as a story, I think it works very well. As a production, it works very well. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. So I watched this one today while doing work, but it was on in the background. And like Colin, it is a kind of typical sci-fi movie, but it does have enough nuances to make it in a different feel than most of the typical ones we've seen out there recently. It's got a lot of good little curveballs to it that make it interesting and keep your attention. And I really thought towards the end they were setting things up for a sequel. So that part was interesting to me. The fact that they got the farmer's insurance guy to play Chris Pratt's dad is very interesting. I wonder what the insurance coverage is for all of the city. Does farmers cover all of, LA? I'm not sure. But what type of commercial are they going to come out with for that one? Because I think that would be a good tie-in, maybe. They could have passed like a farmer's billboard or something along the way, or maybe that could have been an old farmer's jet or plane that they used. That would have been a good tie-in. I mean, marketing, people, marketing. Really. Amazon's got money, but they could always use more. And here's an interesting trivia fact. Paramount Pictures actually had this queued up for theatrical release. But due to COVID-19, they decided instead to sell it to Amazon Prime for $200 million. So this was going to be a summer blockbuster in the theaters. But Paramount decided they would get better money out of it by selling it to Amazon and letting Amazon then distribute it online. So given what we've seen for box office receipts, that probably was a good deal for Paramount. It was the safer deal for sure, because they would not have known what their revenues would have been had they tried to stream this on their own. I think that it is a good movie, and I think the messaging that it gives, that scientists, are important to the future just as much as soldiers are, is something we haven't always seen in a film. So I think that's a powerful motivator, and it gave me a little bit of the feels from a lot of other different movies that are in a similar vein. So Interstellar and things like that. You get that feeling, that the fatherly connection, need to survive type feeling. You get that. So anyway, I would recommend this to anybody who likes an action film. This is definitely, you're going to have plenty of action in it. You're going to have plenty of shoot 'em up, bang bang stuff. But you are going to get a little bit of suspense, a little bit of on your seat moments to keep you interested in the plot devices moving forward. And I think it's a good story. I think it's a good movie, and I think they did a really good job here. So, I'm going to give this one like Colin, an S-eating grin, and we'll see what Mike says. So, Mike, you're up.
Really? Look, I had watched this previously. And I went back and rewatched this just to make the points for this review. Unlike Colin, I'm going to spoiler alert the hell out of this right now. So, listen, if you have any intention of watching this movie, now is your chance to just stop the podcast, tune out, whatever, Alt F4, don't listen. I'm spoiling the hell out of this movie. Counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alerts. Here we go. So, first off, I'm glad to see that in 2022, veterans are still getting screwed out of jobs, but at least nobody's wearing a GD face mask in the streets and parties and stuff. it's a pretty harsh discussion here about not getting a second chance, and it kind of sets a theme because he is getting a second chance to serve his country. So now we go through a little bit, and, you know, I'm not going to discuss the points of the story here, but tell me this. How in the absolute HE double hockey sticks is this woman so damn calm knowing that she is talking to her father? She has ice water in her veins. She probably hooked up with Tom Szymanski, amazing naval pilot, when had the call sign of Iceman, because that's the way he flies, ice cold, ice water in his veins. She tells him that she's going to need all 12 blue ampules, but there are 15. Yes, I friggin' paused it to count because that's what you do when you watch a movie the second time, people. Now we're having the heart-to-heart scene on the beach. She's telling her dad about how he left, which should create a time paradox, shouldn't it? I mean, listen, this is an interaction breaking every rule that we have ever been told about time travel. This is Back to the Future 2. She just told him how he dies. They already told him when he died. Don't get in the car that day. This is the Doc Brown letter moment of Back to the Future. And at that moment is when I realized that a second viewing of this movie is not going to go nearly as well as I thought. I had a GD high school kid figure out climate change from 150 years ago, or thousands of years ago. And where did the GD plane land on the MFN glacier? Explain that one to me. I'm also not exactly thrilled that I caught the backdoor climate change plot that they slipped in at the last minute here. 1 degree is the difference between ice and water. Look here, you Bezos wannabe cult people running Amazon now. I don't like it. Not everything has to have a political message. I demand to be entertained just for the sake of being entertained. And it's good to know that a standard concrete cut-off drywall saw or cut-off saw can cut through alien metal. I'm pretty sure that the operating system is based off of Mac OS while we're at it. And by the way, same cut-off saw will cut alien skull. This originally got something in the range of a smile from me. Probably would have been close to a ass-eating grin like you guys gave it, because from the days of Chuck, I still have a huge crush on Yvonne Strahovski. But when I went back and watched it for a second time and caught all of these little things, and something clicked about the Doc Brown paradox, I can't give this more than a smirk. Which, after the other review, makes me realize I just ranked this in the same category as Swiped. What does that tell you? This one, okay, well, I will tell you, this one, okay, so there's like a Smirk Heavy and a Smirk Light. Swiped is Smirk Light, meaning
it's like
I can't recommend it. Smirk Heavy, I'll recommend it. Go ahead, watch it. Don't watch it a second time.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, so yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying, but if Avengers taught us nothing, it's that time travel doesn't follow the rules of Back to the Future.
Yeah, this followed the same rules that Avengers used.
So
I'm still not 100% sure. Nobody talked about the whole paradox thing. Like they tried
Right,
to
because
talk about it in the
there was
first.
no
Well,
paradox.
No,
they
Because the future in the movie and the past are not the same actual universe. Because if they were, then they would have already known that this was going to happen with the having to send people back. So the universe that they spent the time on in the future, that universe still exists, and everybody died. But the universe from the past, they stopped it so that never happened. But that did not make the other place disappear. They're basically, it was less about one dimension's future talking to its past, and more of a dimension in the future
Okay.
time talking to a different dimension in the past and bringing people over.
it's the
all
infinite.
right, now I get it.
infinite
No, well,
dimension.
okay, so now I get it. It's kind of all right. Because he went back, he fixed it. He had the opportunity. It wouldn't have mattered if he didn't change anything because everybody's going to die anyway. But now he had the knowledge that he could fix it. And then Miri, she didn't. Okay, all right. Somehow, now it kind of makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. It still bothers me that.
I like it because they actually used a different idea of how a time paradox works than most movies do. It's the same point they made in Avengers Endgame that, just because they specifically said, because you watched Back to the Future doesn't mean that's how it actually works.
But see, this is the other problem I have. I don't necessarily like that we're comparing this to Endgame because I don't want any inference that this movie is in the caliber of Endgame.
It is not.
So,
I definitely give you that.
No. But people will listen and be like, oh, anyway. Okay.
If this had been in motion, if this had been in theaters like it was supposed to have been, I have to imagine it would have had a lot more editing done to it, and maybe even some additional shoots.
I would agree, and I'd also think that we probably never would have reviewed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. But no, all right. So it is time to go ahead and set up our next round of movies. So.
Go ahead. 1 to 23 because somebody edited and lucky number 13 is not even in here now. So 1 to 23.
15.
Okay, why is this on YouTube? Nope, no can do. Private. Well, hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me double check here because I wasn't signed in. I forgot. Cleared my cookies. Nope, private video. That was Extract by.
Oh, okay.
With Jason Bateman. I thought that was on Netflix. Actually, hold on. No anymore. Okay.
No. 11.
Oh, what in God's name is happening to my life here? 11. It's free with ads, but okay. On Amazon, Redneck Roots, which ought to be interesting because somebody flat out called it Dollar Store Sweet Home Alabama.
Really? I don't.
Whoever put it on the list.
Kiefer What? Does it have Kiefer? No.
No.
Dean
Redneck
Napolitano?
roots.
Heather
Dean, yes.
Gilliland?
Heather Gilliland. Yep. Carol Ann Watts. Why? Kiefer Sutherland is in this?
I thought I saw... No. Heather... Oh, yeah, no. I'm sorry. Because of the IMDb picture, it looked like Sutherland on the name Slack. The names, but it's not. Yeah. So...
No.
Crystallian can't keep hiding her redneck roots in a big city from her Yankee boyfriend Ben when her sister's high school graduation calls her home. Oh boy.
Okay. Okay.
How about 4?
Oh, this is on Netflix. Let's see. Netflix movie, Love, Wedding, Repeat. Different versions of the same day unfold as Jack juggles difficult guests, unbridled chaos, and potential romance at his sister's wedding.
Oh, is this going to be another... Well, no.
I will fight every one of you. Who put a British movie on this list?
I didn't. I don't think I did.
The damn genre says romantic comedies, British.
I think Mama Blair hacked our list.
Oh, no, she definitely did not put that on the list.
Oh, Olivia Munn is in it.
I don't care.
Make it fun.
Great. Have a freaking aneurysm before the next show.
What was the other wedding movie that we watched, which was like a repeating the same day?
Nutsack Mansion. I don't know.
I don't because I think this one even references it. I mean, the description somebody put here says yet another. And I'm like, okay. I like the first one, so.
What day was it? Naked. That's what it was. It was Naked. Remember, because the Marlon Wayans kept waking up nude in an elevator.
Yeah, but there was another Netflix one.
Ark.
Let me see.
Ark kept repeating. Naked they kept repeating.
When we first met.
Yeah, that one too. Boy, we're doing really good with the Looper shows, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah, when we first
met.
I'm
looking through a list. There's one here. I'm not saying put it there. I'm just saying. The one on the list that I'm really looking forward to seeing is number 7. So, hopefully, I just have to keep an eye on that to see if it shows up on the list of things that are going away, and then I'll let you know if that ever happens. But I specifically not watched it yet. Yes, I've seen the trailer. It looks amazing.
And I'm actually deleting some of these because they were on the list, or we already reviewed them. So.
Okay.
We're actually. Geez, we're on.
I was gonna work on adding some. So
we're down to 18 on here, and God only knows how many are actually available. So.
Yep, I was gonna go through. I've got some more Netflix ones to add, so I will work on adding those. Oh, but there is I think we may have to. Now, Mike, did you say you did have Hulu or you didn't have Hulu?
I do not have Hulu.
There's a new one coming out for Hulu called Boss Level, which is the same thing. That stars Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson and Naomi Watts. A retired Special Forces officer is trapped in a never-ending time loop of the day of his death.
I can only do so many time loop movies, all right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay, quick bonus movie reviews, because I saw 2 movies this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide Squad.
Haven't watched it yet.
Yes, I saw that.
Free Guy.
Haven't watched it
yet.
Free
Guy, extremely recommended.
Okay.
I also watched The History of Swearing, Episode 1, on the F Word, with Nicolas Cage on Netflix.
I think I got as far as Episode 3 on that one.
Yeah, so it's something that I like. My wife and I both watched it. she was less interested in it, but she doesn't normally do documentaries at all. I thought it was intriguing.
So, I think next show, maybe we should talk about the Suicide Squad a little bit.
Yeah, we can do that.
I saw that, and I have some comments, some commentary on it.
Yep.
Okay.
So we can talk about it not as a movie review. We'll just discuss it a little bit because.
Yep.
Quite interesting.
For sure. So,
Right.
All right, folks. With that said, you know what that song means. It means that this is the end of the show. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, telling all your friends, your neighbors, your church groups, your Boy Scout troops, your Brownie troops, all those that you know, putting it on your Nextdoor app, all those things. We want to appreciate everybody spreading the word about the show and telling your loved ones about it. Because that's how we grow this show, obviously, is through your spreading the word. Stay at home, spread the word. The good word, as we call it. So thank you for all that. If you want to find out anything else about the show, you can go to ptrradio.com. You can also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Insta, whatever. Just look for @PTR Radio. We're available on all those. Individual individual host information is available on our website, ptrradio.com. Always check us out on the social media, though. We post stuff in between shows. And we will see you back here in maybe 2 weeks. Is that what we decided? That we would be doing a show on the 30th? Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I didn't know we did. Did we discuss that?
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if we had a conflict or not. But the 30th looks good to me. So let's plan on the 30th. Is going to be our next show. But check the social media just to make sure. But we'll be here, and we hope that you are too. So with that said, folks, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I am Mike the Ape Man.
Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. Later.